Okay, so guys, the myth that we're trying to bust is myth number 3. It states that if an object is not in motion, then there is no force acting upon it.
Okay, but why would people think that?
The reason why many people think that this misconception is true is because really people are more used to seeing the force move on an object over time, because we cannot visualize the object. We assume that there is no force against the object.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. So then, if the misconception was true, then this is what it would look like. Let's assume this misconception is true. If George is planking on the table and I remove it, then George would still be floating.
So how does this object float?
Well, the object floats because of Newton's first law, which states
An object in motion stays in motion, and an object at rest stays at rest unless acted upon by an outside force.
Now, considering this law and applying it to our previous example, where gravity did not exist, it is safe to assume that George would stay floating because there's no outside force that would make him move. Remember, an object at rest will always stay at rest.
Oh, so how would it look like in real life then?
Well, Chris, let me show you in another example. As you can see here, I have a plank balancing on a chair with 2 blocks right beside it on the edges. On our last example, we explained how if the misconception was true, everything would be floating. So if we had this, if we applied this misconception onto this plank right here, that block would still be floating. But since gravity is acting down upon that side of the plank, it just falls.
Not convinced? Well, let me show you one more example. 2 people fighting over a table is a great way to demonstrate why this myth is untrue.
Give me the table!
My table!
No, it's mine. You make me really mad. Get off
No.
me. That's my thought, man. Well, I finally understand it now. That is very easy to see in the last example. Well, George and I applied force to an object, but it still did not move.
Yes, and this can be shown through a free body diagram as well. So as you saw in the last example, when me and you were pulling the table, there was still force acting upon the table, but the table was still not moving. And I could show this to you by giving examples with numbers. For example, if you're applying 10 newtons of force, and I was applying a force of 10 newtons, then the table would still be there, because if you see that you're applying force that way of 10 newtons and I'm applying force that way of 10 newtons, then it would equal 0 newtons, meaning that the table would be balanced and the table would not move.
So now that we closely examined the myth and looked at all the reasons and evidence why it is untrue, I think we could all say that this myth is
Busted!
Why would people think that?
Can we get that out?
Yeah, it just states.
An object in motion stays in motion, and an object at rest stays at rest unless acted upon by an outside force.
Now, considering this law and applying it to our previous example, where 2 people fighting over a table is a great way to demonstrate why. You're not supposed to laugh.
Go. So how does this doctor?
So now, considering this law and applying it to our previous example, which states that